Right. And we are live on YouTube. Happy Sunday. Happy amazing Sunday live. How are you, Gordana?
Hi, Lucas. I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. I really look forward to this.
Yes.
It's we're cruising through the new year. It's a lot of things are happening, and I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about today because
Yeah.
the choice is as prevalent
Mhm.
and in everyone's face as it gets right now. And so I'm
Yes,
glad we're going to be talking about this.
absolutely. I mean, we're going to talk about something that can help us um, change how we move through this reality
Right.
just by recognizing that in every now moment there is a choice. And
Mm,
I mean, literally, in every now moment there is a choice. And when you recognize the choices, you stand in light.
yes.
So you can
Yes.
make an informed choice.
Mm,
And this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to touch upon freedom and fearlessness and choice and awareness and presence. And I'm so happy because those are my favorite things to talk about.
yeah. Same.
I love talking
Same.
about these things because it feels like, when people ask me, are you a religious person? And I say, no, I'm not a religious person. I would say that I'm a spiritual person,
Mhm.
which means that I recognize that there is an invisible reality which I can't see, but it's still there. And that I can tap into this power and use it in my own reality. So I understand that it's not what you see is what you get, it's so much more than that.
Right.
But I feel like freedom has become my religion right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking for freedom wherever I go. And that is an important thing for me. I realize that it is really important to
Yeah.
feel the freedom in every now and moment. I'm
Right.
not talking about, Mel Gibson freedom. I'm
Right.
talking
Right.
about freedom in every single now moment where I can feel that I am standing in my own light and that I'm making informed choices.
Mm,
That to me is freedom.
yeah.
What
It's
is freedom
interesting.
to you? Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry. I interrupted you.
no, it's so good. Freedom is that's why I think you and I, our souls have connected so deeply. Is
Hmm.
freedom is everything to
Yeah.
me. Like everything. And,
Hmm.
for everyone watching, I roll a very specific way and I never wore a mask. And when I was asked to wear a mask, I wouldn't wear a mask. When I was told to wear a mask, I wouldn't wear a mask. And I fought everyone where I used to live. And why I wouldn't is because when I was a child, I had to be quiet about the abuse. And this is abuse, whether people like the mask or not like the mask. This is abuse, what's taking place. It is a power structure imposing their will upon those without power and making them comply, whether they like it or not. And that is an abuse of power. So it triggered this point, and why I'm bringing this up is now we moved to Texas, which is way more free. However, what I found is the people here don't understand the fight for freedom. It's almost like taken for granted. And I think what all of humanity is waking up to right now is this choice, this pull between safety, feeling safe, feeling um, accepted, feeling part of a group, or freedom, which may or may not make us safe, but it definitely keeps us a part of this. It keeps us away, keeps us individual, keeps us sovereign. And we are waking up right now, I think, as humanity. First of all, the power structures, the media, the governments, the leaderships, everything's crumbling right now. I think if people have put all their trust in these institutions and then looked around, like, these institutions don't have the answers. They're made up of people just like I'm a person. They don't have the answers. And then there are people that are looking outside the system, and we're finding incredible souls. You say it's not freedom, not like the Mel Gibson, but it's almost, it takes someone like Mel Gibson to wake up the world to say, what is life? If we're not free to choose our own life, that's not life. That's slavery. That is mental, physical, spiritual, emotional slavery. And wouldn't you give just 1 ounce of your flesh to experience that freedom? That's what I think we're waking up to right now. And it's interesting, like, we don't talk about the vaccine, and this isn't about talking about the vaccine, but there is this ideology that is swept through humanity. It's saying, fit in, do what we do, say what we say, think what we think, act how we act. And if you don't, you are demonized, you are ostracized, you are deemed less than a full human being. And the irony of that is, to utter those words is less than a human being. Telling someone who's saying, wait a minute, if I don't stand in contrast to your narrative, there is no freedom.
Exactly, because there is no choice.
There's no choice.
Yes, and this is what we're talking about here. It's about standing up for the choices, the freedom to choose whatever you want to think, to say, to be, to do. This is what freedom actually means. Because otherwise, if there is no choice, then you are only seeing a very, very small fraction of the truth.
Right.
For me, it's like when I can't see a choice where I'm standing, I know that this is definitely a signal that I'm falling asleep. I'm falling asleep. I'm not awake. I'm not present. I am acting through my ego masks, whatever that might be in that moment, because I cannot see the entire picture. I cannot see all the choices that I have. When I stand in calmness, in stillness, and allowing my soul to look through these eyes, I can see several choices. As soon as I cannot see them, I have been hoodwinked, blindfolded by my ego. And if I want others to see exactly the same thing as I see and not the other choices, I'm trying to hoodwink and blindfold them.
Yes.
Which the universe will not like, because I cannot change other human beings. All I can do is change my perspective and my view by either heightening my frequency so that I can see more of this world, or lowering my frequency and seeing less of this world. Right. When I am in fear, I will have a low frequency, which doesn't allow me to see everything that is there. Right. So for me, it's a signal. When I feel that, okay, there is no choice here, it's a signal that I'm falling asleep and that I need to find ways to calm myself so that I will be able to make informed choices.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the whole thing. This is why freedom has become a religion to me, because when I realized that freedom equals having choices. And I'm not talking about two choices, like you want your child to eat a vegetable and you say, do you want to eat a carrot or do you want to eat a pea?
Right.
My son would say neither, which means there is a third choice.
That's right.
At least.
That's right.
So just becoming more aware of what it is that you're looking at. If you cannot see a choice, be certain that you have fallen asleep.
Yes.
To who you truly are, because you are a stillness, the objective observer, observing the movement, which is so many things. Yes. And if you just choose one slice of it, you are walking on a very slippery slope into something that is everything else but freedom.
It's also being an ego. It definitely eliminates choice. Also, though, it desires to be seen, affirmed, acknowledged. So when we are in ego, we will do anything for the group to acknowledge, see us, I'm part of you. And it takes someone who isn't an ego, who isn't a wound, who isn't in fear or wound, to step apart. If I could bless everyone on this planet right now, I would bless them with this tenacity inside them that wakens up and says, just because the group says to do it, I won't do it. Just so I can give other people context for a second, or some contrast, to pause and be like, well, wait a minute. What's going on here? If everyone does what you say, what's the end result? If everyone does what I say, what's the end result? Like, I've talked about this, I think, before in a live. One of the most impactful books I've ever read in my life is a book called Ideas Have Consequences. And this professor of psychology and Western civilization goes through and says, take every idea that you have and take it out to its furthest extent. And if you're not willing to do that and actually go to the very end result of your ideologies and your thoughts and your wishes, then don't have these ideas, because ideas have consequences. If we're just thinking short term, oh, let's get back to normal this year. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, what I feel like, or what I think about when you say this, is that thoughts are not facts. Thoughts are not truths. They're just thoughts. And if you push those thoughts to the limits, you will see if there is truth in them or not. So you have to be able, or to understand what contemplation is. To contemplate something is to stretch a thought, to push it around, to look at it from different angles without investing your feelings into it. Just looking at it and seeing, is this okay? Is this true? Is this not true? Contemplation means that you take time to think. You look at the process of thinking. You don't just look at the information that you're looking at. You're actually looking at the process of thinking. And when you can do that, you can discern, okay, this thought seems good or not. But if you immediately, there's a thought, you pick up on it, and then you immediately react to that thought without doing the contemplation and looking at it from different angles, you will be pulled in by your emotions, which will manifest whatever it is that you're thinking about in the form of a belief.
Yes.
So it's really important to understand that it's not just about doing things the fastest way. You actually have to take the time to think what it is that you're planning to do. Because I think what happens with us is that in school, they do not teach us, or they teach us to, or we're taught, I have to find the right words here, but we're taught what to think.
Yes, not how to think.
How to think.
That's right.
This is what it is about. If you're taught what to think, then nobody asks you, have you thought about this? Is this true? You're supposed to just say it again, repeat after me, and this is your truth. So this is your thoughts, and you do what we tell you to do. But if you're taught the process of thinking, you immediately go into this objective space within you where you think about thinking. You think about, what am I thinking about? What is this thought? Is this good or bad for me? How am I reacting while I'm thinking this thought? What kind of emotion is evoked here? Why am I afraid of this? Why am I not afraid of this? Why am I pushing this? The why am I doing it becomes more important than just repeating it.
That's right. That's right.
And we're not taught this. So it becomes really hard to, not react to all the thoughts that are there, because we do it habitually. And what we want people to do, or at least what I want people to do, is to stand still for a while and give themselves time to think, is this true? Is this helping me become more fearless? Is this helping me become more free?
Yes.
Is this helping other people become more free and fearless?
Right.
And if it's not, then that thought needs to be thought over and over and over again and looked at from many different perspectives fearlessly.
Yes, that's right.
But also expressed. If you can look at it from different perspectives, you can say, you know what, but I see this. I don't see that. Tell me, how come you see that and not this? And then have a conversation without hating each other, without the emotion, contemplating together without the emotions.
Yes.
If we don't do that, we do not create this safe space where thoughts can stay what they truly are, energy in the invisible realm, until we start pulling them down with emotion and then reacting upon them in this physical world at the lowest level of existence.
Right. While you're talking, I get this visual of a whole bunch of children in a playground, and the playground has trees that have been planted by landscapers, and it looks really nice. And if you would ask the children within the playground, do you know what a tree looks like? They would say yes, and they'd point to the tree in the playground. But outside the playground, outside this wall, is a vast forest. And only kids who have been outside the playground into the forest really can tell the kids inside the playground, yes, that might be a tree, but let me show you what another type of tree. Let me show you what a real tree looks like, not this confined, manufactured experience. Let me show you what the wild experience really is. So without talking about what to think and how to think, people might say, yeah, I know what something is. But if they don't know the contrast to that, if the only, like, for instance, I've had many conversations with people, I'm sure you have as well, where people say, well, you need to read the science. Certainly. And I have. But if you are only, the person I'm talking to is only reading the science from who the media prescribes as the only authoritative voice, it's like telling me what a tree looks like within the playground and never going outside the walls of the playground and knowing what the other trees look like. And I think what's happening right now in society is people are waking up to this. We all have the responsibility to choose. That is our very sovereign human right. But we have forgotten how to choose, how to think, how to be human. And we've been so beat down by societal norms, media, pressure, people, wounded children in human bodies trying to fit in and please so they don't get hurt again. And it's almost like we need, I don't know if you saw the show Game of Thrones, but the wildlings on the other side of the wall who didn't have the political norms and didn't care about who was on the throne of this family. It's just people that lived in the wild had to remind the people inside the walls what real living was, how to build fire again without, people. It's, we are waking up to the fact that the manufactured world has stripped us of remembering choice and how to choose.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, of course. I don't know what you mean by the manufactured world, but what I think that for me, it's like when I go out in nature, I am always brought back into my natural state of being, because nature is a frequency which comes natural, and it's based on life force that comes from source. And then when I go back into society, people are the ones that are it becomes artificial. And when it's artificial,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, when it's artificial, it can be good, but it can also be very bad. It doesn't have this natural flow coming from life source organizing it. People organize it, and then belief systems are at play there, and all belief systems doesn't maybe fit me. But when I go out in nature, I can always find this space within me where I can just relax and allow nature to kind of tune me into my true frequency. So I think that is what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I mean, manufactured.
I don't think that the entire society is artificial, but there's certain companies and media and television and all that is artificial. It's not real. The information is not flowing freely. It is stopped or directed, and information coming from there it's filtered. So I cannot say that is something where I will find my truth. I have to seek for it. I have to find people like you and other people that will give me that frequency that is a natural frequency. But I have the responsibility to seek it out. When I go out in nature, I don't even think about responsibility. I'm just there, and it puts me in this beautiful frequency because it is giving. It doesn't want anything back from me.
Yes. It
So
allows.
I think that is what you're actually playing around with. Also, it's like when we understand where we find this stillness within us. For me, it's like going out in nature or being by the sea or sitting with my loved ones. That is where I kind of tune into the right frequency. And I think that we all work like, do you remember the roly-poly, or what is it called? The Weebly Wobble Man
Yeah.
dolls. The
Yeah.
dolls that are, they have this heavy thing in the middle, and you can push them around. They will always come back to center like this. This is how our alignment to source works. So the darkness, the manufactured world or the artificial world or the shadow in this world or ego will always try to pull you away from this balance and center. And if you allow yourself to be pulled, well, you will be pulled for a while, but as soon as this darkness or ego or whatever it is that is holding you down releases its grip of you, you will always come back to your natural state of being.
Yes.
And you can help yourself come back to your natural state of being by being in nature, by being with people who give you love and whom you can give love unconditionally, by being by the sea or being with your pets or anything that is of a natural frequency.
Yes.
It will always pull you back. So there is no fear of always staying in this darkness, because anytime you want, if you surrender to this life force, it will always bring you back in the center. You will be wobbling a little bit, and that's normal because that is what we're here to do. This world we live in, Earth, is a free will zone.
Yes.
Which means that if you do not see that you can exercise your free will, you have fallen asleep to the truth about this realm. The free will zone means that there will always be a choice. Otherwise, you cannot use your free will. And this is a tool that is spiritual tool for you. This is a birthright. Your free will is a birthright here. So when you can feel that you can use your free will, that means that you are actually operating on a really high frequency, being in your center, because you can see the choices. As soon as you feel that I have no free will, I cannot see any choices, you have been pulled down by something that is holding you. Your job is to see the illusion that is holding you and say, I release myself from this because my natural state is choice.
That's right.
Do you remember what you thought when you were sitting in the car trying to kill yourself when you were 20 years old?
Do I
Didn't you
remember?
think that there is no choice and this is why you do it?
Yeah. 100%.
Well, there was a choice because you're here now, even though you couldn't see it in that moment. You are here now. So that means that even in the darkest of hours, when you contemplate taking your own life, there is a choice to be made.
Right.
This is the truth of this reality. There is always a choice. And I'm not saying that it's always a joyful choice, but there is always a choice. If you do not see the choice, you are falling asleep to who you truly are.
And it's not just our choice, it's acknowledging everyone has choice.
Yes.
So religions have been set up to, quote unquote, save people, but we can't save anyone. And even the concept of saving another is to manipulate or coerce their choice. But we can acknowledge that everyone has choice, as I have choice, that we have choice, and to hold space for them to experience the fruits, the consequences, the fulfillment of their choices. And this is where we come back to sovereignty. This is where I think when you come back to the balanced place, the now moment's not concerned what another person chooses. And now moment's only concerned with, am I present, aware in what I'm choosing, and holding space for other people. And that's what I think humanity is waking up to right now, is holding space for everyone to choose.
Yes, yes, giving you the opportunity to choose. And I find this utterly interesting because for a couple of weeks now, I have been in this state of consciousness where I'm able to see multiple versions of reality, because I am able to put myself in the other side's point of view, and I can see it, even if it goes against what I believe. I can still see it without investing my emotions in the form of judgment, not even discerning. I'm just looking at it, objectively looking at it as one part of this whole pie here.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see that part, I can see another, and I'm in the middle in a sense. So I can look at it without being emotional about it. Just look, and then I can choose or not choose. It's like being in a stillness where I feel like it's okay. Whatever happens is okay. It's almost like surrendering to the stillness in the now moment and the power to choose, but also the power to not choose, to just stand in it and see it for what it is.
Yeah.
And that's really new to me because I have always been an emotional being. I always feel stuff, and I can get pulled away by my emotions. Now it's almost like, when you're worn out, 2 years of this and you're worn out, you think like, okay, I'm not investing my feelings in this because I need to kind of keep them.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it will drain you. And then you go over that and you start thinking, I surrender to this stillness. It's much nicer to be in a stillness than being agitated all the time.
Right.
And you pick your battles.
Right.
Know what you want to choose and not choose, but just looking at it, hovering over it, and just seeing it for what it is. What it has brought to me is compassion, to start looking at even the things that I wouldn't agree with and looking at it. Why are they seeing things the way they're seeing things? And most of the time, I do not see the evilness in this. I actually see the fear.
Yeah.
And someone who is in fear, you can't judge them for that.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it from a perspective that these people are in fear.
Yeah.
So what is it that we need to cultivate? Well, we need to cultivate fearlessness. And again, I'm not talking about Wallace, Mel Gibson character, Wallace,
Yeah.
what was his
William
name? Yeah.
Wallace. Yeah. Yeah.
William Wallace, fearlessness, because that's good and that's okay and it has its place in time and space. But I'm talking about everyday fearlessness, to recognize that if you do not see a choice, you are in a fearful state.
Right. Right.
And you're not operating on the highest frequency that you can. And as I usually say, the highest frequency is not always just love and compassion, it is actually understanding. So when you can see that, you stop judging. And I know that when I judge, there's always emotional pain that follows this. And I don't like that emotional pain when I'm judging.
Yeah.
I'm human and we're all humans. So it happens. You judge people and that's all good. But the pain afterwards, I don't want that pain. So just being in this space where I can see all the perspectives that are there and I do not judge them. I can see what led to them and I can see the fear in this. That makes me non-judgmental, because things that I would see as a 30-year-old woman, I would say, oh my God, that's evil. I don't look at it this way. I go further and I go, oh my God, this person is so afraid. This is fear. This is fear operating in this person. And I think that fear it's our greatest enemy here, the fear.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Read a quote from my book, and it's really short because I wrote this a couple of years ago when I wrote the book. And here we go. The quote goes, "Put your hand on your heart, feel it beat. It's a God-given gift. Listen to it. It will always tell you the truth."
Hmm.
But I'm thinking like, okay, so if I'm in fear, I put my hand on my heart and I can feel how it beats so fast and I'm in fear. Is that the truth? No, that is not the truth. What the truth is, when you put your hand on your heart and you can feel how it beats fast and you don't see the choices, what your heart is telling you, the truth your heart is telling you is you are vibrating on a too low frequency to be able to make informed choices. Your heart is telling you by beating so fast, it is telling you, you need to calm me down before you make the choices. You
Hmm.
need to find your center. You need to breathe. Connect me to your breath so that I can calm down and then your mind will be clear. That is what your heart is telling you when it's beating fast. It's not telling you that fear is the truth. It is telling you the truth is that you're vibrating on a too low frequency. It's a signal that you're in a fearful state and that you cannot make a decision which will be beneficial for you.
Hmm.
Unless, of course, there is a bear in the doorway, but then your gut is connected to it and you have no time to think. So you will run, and that would be the right thing to do. I'm
Right.
talking about the lingering fear you feel when you wake up in the morning that the world has changed and you don't know where you fit into this world. And
Yeah.
when your anxiety starts, put your hand on your heart, and if it's beating faster, it is telling you, you need to calm me down so that you will be able to hear and see more clearly.
Hmm.
That's all it is.
So good. Hi, sweetie. Uh, oh, you look beautiful. You look beautiful. Um, our youngest has makeup on. She's so cute. Gloriana asked a really good question. She said, "What about when we feel way too still or stuck or have been in that position for over a year? How can we discern if we have to surrender more or take action?"
Oh, it sounds like take action. Because if you feel like you're stagnated, then you are suppressing some kind of anger or frustration. You know, like patience is actually, I thought it was a good thing to be patient. But when I look at it from a higher perspective, patience is actually when you are trying to when you are waiting for something that isn't coming, that is hidden frustration.
Mm,
And that will always culminate in some kind of anger about the situation. So I would actually start taking some kind of action. Whatever feels right, I would take action. Stagnation is a signal that you need to make some kind of movement. The
yeah.
stillness is not about standing still. The stillness is actually about time, to give yourself time to think before you allow a feeling to push you into a direction.
Right. Right.
So that is what the stillness is. It's not about, pushing away stuff, not wanting to see, not wanting to look, not. It's a question of recognizing the stillness, the silence, and the ability to make a choice. If you've been still for too long, maybe you are not seeing the choices.
Mm.
So acting upon your excitement would be my advice here, to act upon your excitement.
And Tony Robbins says that happiness is taking massive action. And I think
Yeah.
if we're in fear, we can't take massive action because we're afraid if we move, it will be the wrong move, as opposed to having fun in this reality and realizing it's a game and taking massive action. If we trust that everything's happening for us, it will lead to the right next move.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but if we're in
Well,
fear, we're stuck to the next result is going to be right or wrong. And it's just not the case. Like you said, it's not peas or broccoli, it's neither. But we
yes.
wouldn't know unless we took massive action to sit at the table and see what it presents.
Absolutely. It's a question of recognizing what excites me in this moment. The
Mm-hmm.
problem with recognizing what excites you in this moment, for me, for instance, when I was a young woman, when I was in my teens, living with my father, I would feel like I didn't dare to take a step in any direction because I knew that he would stop it or scold me, or some kind of punishment would be involved in this. And if you habitually are not allowed to take any steps, your thoughts becomes like rubber bands. You push a thought out there and it comes back to you again. You push it out and it comes back to you again. So you find yourself in a corner, not daring to take a step. So I thought that I wasn't able to take steps because I was a scared girl. And that's not the truth. That is not who I am. My true self will always take a step in the right direction because I know who I am now. But as this teenager, I felt like I am indecisive. I don't know what I want. I did know what I want, but I didn't dare to act upon my excitement. So it can be something that stifles you, something that feels fearful, that will actually stop you from feeling that there is a choice around you, and you just stagnate into this. You go into this stillness, which is a negative stillness. It's not the positive stillness that I'm talking about. The positive stillness is connected to time, not to physical stillness, because that would be a meditation, but you can't meditate yourself through life. You have to move through this life and taking this stillness with you in that movement. That's the difference of this. So it's a question of time. It's not a question of geography. Act upon your excitement. You really do need to start acting upon our excitement. And sometimes anger pushes you there.
Do you think, do you feel like people are waking up to this choice? Do you like,
What?
in one regard, I feel they are, in one regard, I feel they're not.
I feel like everything is at the surface. And if you are willing, you can see what's on the surface. There's not so many things below the surface now. Everything is on the surface. And some things are fearful to look at because we're not used to seeing them on the surface. We know that they've operated beneath the surface, and now it's on and you need to take action, or you need to choose. And again, some time within yourself to see what's on this surface. So I think that it's hard to say if people can see the choices. I don't know everyone. I don't like to generalize because I don't know. I want to sit with one human being and say, do you see the choices? And the beauty of this is that I can have a conversation with someone who thinks totally different of this world than I do, and yet have a constructive, conscious conversation because we are both willing to see each other's perspective without judging each other. The willingness to look at whatever is in front of you is to give yourself choices. If you're not willing to look at it, then that choice is gone for you. You cannot see it. And I think that where we are right now, spiritually speaking, as a human race, we are actually at this point where everything is out there. So you can see it if you want. It is the willingness. And I think that a lot of people are willing. They're tired now, but they are willing to look at it, to see what are the choices here? What are the alternatives here? How can we do this in another way without the revolutionary breakdown of everything? So I do think that we are seeing things more clearly, but that's sometimes very painful because a lot of stuff comes up when you can see things clearly. It's like I talk about, the more illuminated you are, the more you can see. But that doesn't mean that what you see is always the best things. Sometimes you can actually see the things that are bad because you're illuminated, and that's painful. So it comes with a cost. Illumination, I'm sorry, but illumination is actually about, it's about light, and light contains information. So when you're illuminated, you're actually given more information. It doesn't say good or bad information. And this world where we are, as I said, it's a free will zone, which means that there is an equal amount of pluses and minuses, equal amount of light and darkness in this
Yes.
world. So the
Yes.
more you can see, the more illuminated you are, you will see both darkness and light. And the fearlessness, the courage is to stand in your center and make informed choices.
Yeah.
That is
It's
what it is.
it's turning all this information and knowledge into wisdom. And I think that's
Mhm.
it's interesting that astrologically we have not been at this point right now since 1776. Well, in 1776, the United States penned the Declaration of Independence,
Mhm.
or Thomas Jefferson penned it, but also Adam Weishaupt, and the Illuminati starts in Germany in
Mhm.
1776. And so I find that to be in that place again where we have this Declaration of Independence and also this other counter movement going
Mhm.
on, not necessarily good, bad, or indifferent. It's just illumination and freedom are butting up against each other again. And the question is, this time, will humans have enough wisdom to be courageous with information and not
Mhm.
submit to fear, but actually stand in love? And when
Mhm.
we do this, regardless of what we believe, when we do this, it allows the natural state. It allows everything to come and flourish as its intended origin, not manipulated, controlled,
Mhm.
pruned. That's what I mean when I started this talking about this playground, which yes, it might have trees, but it's not the majesty and the cadence and the rhythm. I love that you said rhythm
Mhm.
of what is and what's possible.
Yeah, here's the thing. When you talk about the forest and all its diversity and all its lushness, and then you talk about a planted tree, this planted tree is a part of that lushness and this green,
Mhm.
beautiful diversity. So it is a part of that truth, but it is not the whole truth.
Right.
If you want the whole truth, you have to take in the diversity and the lushness and the greenness, all of it. That is the truth. And then you can choose, I like this tree, I do not like that tree.
Right.
But it's the choice in the
That's
forest. You
right.
can't, if
That's
there
right.
is one tree you can't choose, this is the tree.
That's right.
Also, I was thinking about this when my son was, learning how to speak, and he would
Mhm.
point at stuff and ask me, what is this? And
Mhm.
I remember I could say, well, that's a duck. And then I'm thinking, that's not a duck. That is a sentient being. This is something we call a duck.
Yeah.
That's a difference in it. When you say this is a duck, that's not the truth. That is a
Mhm.
symbol. This is what we call it, but
Mhm.
it's not that. It is a sentient being. It is an energy form. This is its
Mhm.
true essence, can never be in one word, a duck.
Mhm.
So that really opened me up to thinking about the language. And again, coming back to being taught what to think and not how to think.
Right.
If you tell a child this is what we call a duck, the child will go, okay, so we call that a duck. What do we call this? It
Mhm.
opens up to interpretation. It opens up to thinking instead of just accepting and swallowing.
Yes.
So as I always say, our children are our teachers if we're present with them.
Yeah,
Always,
that's
always.
true.
Yeah.
Um, this we've covered so much content over these lives, talking about
Mhm.
holding the light, and then today in this
Mhm.
choice. And I hope people come away with, whenever they're watching live or watching later,
Mhm.
that there is always more. There's always more information. There's always more. And because there's always more, we have the freedom to choose to seek it out. And it's our responsibility
Yes.
to seek it out. No one's going to hand us, if we're waiting for people to hand us information, then
Yes.
we're within the playground, not out in the natural state. And this is what I don't understand, like leaving religion. Lauren and I were watching the show the other night, and they were talking about these Truth be told, it was Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and these people were talking about these former Mormons, and she was talking about how Mormonism teaches don't read anything negative because that's Satan's way to lure you out and all this stuff. And I thought that same principle can be applied to anything. It can be applied to mainstream media about science. Don't read, the doctors or scientists that we deem not. And I thought, God, what a crazy but simple way to control humanity. It's the threat of fear of cast out of the group. If you, and to be afraid to be cast out of the group is to already to detach from our natural state, because there's always more to explore. And when I had to leave Christianity as being a minister and a preacher and running my own ministry, when I tell people now, I've read the Satanic Bible, I've read the Bhagavad Gita, I've read the Quran, I've read, Manly P. Hall, I've read it, like I'm reading it all so that at the end of the day, no one can tell me, well, thus saith that person in that time in that perspective. But if you read this person that time, this perspective, and to me, this is what I feel, if we want to use the word God, or if I'm going to use the word God, intended, because the natural state, which some would call chaos, the forest, that all that exists in the forest precedes the playground. And when people tell us that the playground is the reality, I think what we're waking up to right now, this being very verbose and saying, we are waking up to there is always more. And that is to be the most human, is to explore what else is out there.
Absolutely, to be open, to ask questions. If you cannot ask questions, then there's something fishy going on.
That's right.
You're supposed to ask questions. How will you learn? There is no place where we can say, oh, we know everything there is to know about this. It's impossible. You have to go down to quantum level to understand everything there is to understand about it. And even then, you will not be able to do that, because in the end, it's the observer that defines whatever is going on in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
So it comes back to you all the time. It is like when you say, well, there is no savior out there. No, because you're the one.
Right.
And people don't like the responsibility of being their own saviors in every now moment. And what is it that you're saving yourself from? Well, you're saving yourself from the illusion of fear that the ego brings upon you, shows you that you can't do this because that will happen. And it keeps you in this fearful state. You're the one that can change that, no one else, by giving yourself time to look at the thought and say, is this thought true? Is it beneficial for me? And if it's not beneficial, then it's not true. So just understanding this, I'm not saying that there are no dangers out there. Of course there are. I mean, it's what I'm talking about is in the now moment, when we wake up with anxiety or fear about something that we have in our head. It's not even in the room with you, it's in your head. Understanding how to handle that thought, because it's just a thought. It's not facts. It's not truths. It's just a thought. What is true is that you are looking at it. That is the truth. The real you looking at a thought. A thought is a suggestion. It's not the truth. It's a suggestion, like a cloud coming. It doesn't have to be true. There are other thoughts that might be more true. And if you say, I know everything there is to know about something, then that's an illusion. There's always new things.
Oh my gosh, that's a funny thing. I feel like I used to be at that place where in religion and Christianity, where I was like a prolific stone thrower. It's like I had so many weapons and I beat people down, and it's such a joke. I was such an ego. And all that is, when we think that we know everything there is, that is just ego telling us to not continue our exploration into more.
Yes, and the exploration is supposed to be done from this observing place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when moving in this reality, it has to become, it has to come from this observing place. Because you know what? Wherever you go, there you are. Are you there, Lucas?
Yeah, I'm
There
here.
you
Sorry. I
are.
couldn't tell if you were hearing my kids howl. Like,
This is this is so beautiful. I said, wherever you go, there you are, and you disappeared. I love the synchronicity in here.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but this is the truth. Wherever you go, there you are. So you can't run away from yourself, and you are your own savior, and you save yourself in every now moment. Every time you can release the pull from your ego and go back to your natural state of being is the way to go through this reality. You will not be standing still and everything is fine and nothing bad will happen to you. No fear will come in your way. It's a question of recognizing it, asking your heart, and then continuing on a path where you illuminate yourself with everything there is, not being afraid of looking at things that are there.
Yeah.
Because it's for me, it's a key question, the fearlessness, becoming fearless in your own exploration of this world.
Yeah.
Fearless in a kind, loving way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will become, like you said, you had all the weapons and you could win every argument. It's not a war. If you think that you need weapons, you're hoodwinked.
Yep, that's true. And, talking about fearlessness, the word, every time I've stepped out in, I want to use the word faith, but it's when I've stepped out in courage. For instance, when I gave my TED Talk, I didn't know what was going to happen after that. I didn't know what the consequences were going to be for that, but I stood on that stage and courageously told my story and the message that I'm here to bring to this earth about healing. And the result was immediately when I got off that stage, the energy shifted. And what I would share with, I wasn't on the defensive any longer of this family power structure. I was on the offensive, but my offensive was not to go after. My offensive was to hold space and let it, what is, be. But it took courage to step into the unknown. Every time I have stepped into the unknown, not knowing what's going to happen, but stepping out in faith, amazing things have happened in my life. Amazing things, like the greatest things ever. But when I have operated from fear, thinking that I will know the results, it's never, it turns into like dissolving in my hands. I thought it was good, and it just vanishes away versus truly being courageous. And I think courage is everything, to be fearless, what you're saying, and to step into these
The courage
moments.
There is no creativity, and the universe, or this reality that we're in, it loves creativity. This is why diversity feels like a natural state of being. The forest, it's creative, but there is no creativity without courage, because creativity asks you to look at things that you've never seen before without being afraid of it, without being afraid to try things. That is why without any courage, there is no creativity and there is no life. It stagnates because you're afraid to take the first step into the unknown, as you said. And you cannot know. There is no one that knows the future. It's impossible, because the only thing that exists is the now moment and what you do in that now moment. If you are afraid, you will stand. It will look like you're standing still in this now moment, not doing anything. But you're still moving in your life. You're still sending out a frequency, and the universe is still picking up on your frequency and giving you more of what it is that you're requesting or asking with the fear. So
Yes.
if you are in a fearful state, the universe goes, okay, you need more fear to explore because this is something that you need to explore right now. And
Yeah.
it sends you more things that would seem fearful. As soon as you go through that gate, as you did in your TED Talk, you went through it, the universe goes, okay, new frequency, here we
Yep.
go.
That's it.
And it gives you different things to explore because there is a different frequency going on
Yes.
within you.
Yes.
And the responsibility is yours because you can say, no, I'll never do that TED Talk because they'll kill me or something bad will happen to me. I'll
Yep.
never do that. And you'll stay in that stagnated
Yep.
space. And the universe will give you more of that stagnated space where it's not punishing you, but it's giving you new opportunities to actually go through the fear and find yourself on the other side.
Yes.
So this is why fearlessness or courage is a key to open that door to be on the other side. It's hard when you believe the fear. And you need to believe the fear in order to be stopped by it, because the fear is an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an illusion that ego creates to keep you from doing it. And
Yeah.
I think in our next Sunday Live, we actually have to talk about something that I find so fascinating, because in my book, I write about the ego as not such a bad thing, because it's not, it's neutral.
Right.
It has a positive side and a negative side.
Mm.
And the fear is, of course, in the negative side. In the positive side are all your desires and your passions in life, because it drives you forward. Whereas the negative side will keep you in this fear and keep you stagnated.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
we can
beautiful.
talk about that in our next, because I see that we won't have the time to talk
That's
deeply
right.
into this. But it's such a cool concept to talk about, because it's a question of using your ego as the tool that it is. It's a birthright here too, your ego. You wouldn't be able to explore this world without your ego. So
Right.
trying to, get rid of it will take you for the rest of your life, and you won't succeed, because it's like your shadow. It's stuck, it's there, it's yours. So when you learn how to use it, you can actually be fearless with the help of your ego. If you
Yes.
feed your desires and your wishes and daydreams about reality, then that would push you through the fear, because you want to fulfill your desires. That is ego working too,
Yes.
but it's working the way it's supposed to be working here. It's when we succumb to the fear, when we think that we are less, or when we think that we are this little ego looking through the fear, that
Right.
it stops us from exploring reality in a creative way, which we're here to be creative,
Yeah.
because we are creators. We're created in the image of the
That's
creator.
right. That's
We
right.
are creators.
That's right.
And it's so beautiful when you can see it clearly, so that you can use the tools that you've been given, free will, your ego. Why not use them instead of being used by them?
That's good. Yeah. Next Sunday is going to be really good. It's going to be really
Yes.
good. Thank you. Thanks for everyone watching. Gloriana, she said, ego is not bad. It's just unconscious. Suresh, so many beautiful comments. Brother Blake, he said that was what we called magic. Wherever you go, there you are. Debna Mel, thanks for watching. There's a lot of beautiful people watching. And Terrell, thank you so much. Another Sunday live. It's been beautiful.
It's been beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time this Sunday to be with us.
Yes. And we'll see you